Welcome to About Basingstoke Business, bringing you the experts, the insights and the day-to-day reality of running a business today. I'm Steve Randall, and in this edition, how to navigate uncertain times, top tips from business mentor George Scott-Welsh. Cutting through red tape, a new book highlights how company culture needs to drive real change, and we talk to the owner of a local business in the small but beautiful world of independent bookshops. This programme is sponsored by IncuHive, offices, hot desks and business support, now open at Helm Mills, Basingstoke. And let's hear from their CEO, business mentor, George Scott-Welsh, who's going to be appearing regularly on this show, bringing us his IncuHive 5 top tips.
Right now, small businesses are facing a huge amount of uncertainty, whether it's rising costs, shifting customer behaviours, economic pressure, legislation. And I'd like to talk about our 5 tips how to best navigate this uncertainty and ensure that your business continues to thrive. And a lot of the uncertainty we can't control. We can't control rising fuel prices. We can't control economic uncertainty, and to a large extent, we can't control customer behaviour. With all sorts of advances in technology, customer behaviour shifts really rapidly, and that is quite a new thing, and we can't really control that as well. So tip number 1 is focus on what you can control. So that could be your pricing strategy, your customer relationships, costs, cash flow, marketing activity, etc., etc. Clarity beats panic. So small, controlled decisions are better than big, reactive ones. My second tip is get a grip on cash flow. I did some business continuity training for some small businesses recently, and a bit of analysis that we did determined that cash flow is probably the number one thing that cripples a business. So get a grip on your cash flow. In uncertain times, review your cash flow weekly, not monthly. Make sure you're on top of your numbers. Chase invoices earlier, reduce unnecessary costs or wastage in your business, and try and build a small amount of cash, if possible, for any of those doomsday scenarios. With your continuity planning and cash flow, going through those worst case scenarios, maybe on a monthly basis, what happens if this supplier doesn't pay? What happens if this person leaves? What happens if that customer goes? What will happen to this business? And map it out and look at the run rates and see if you've got enough cash to come out the other side, and make sure you stay solvent. Number 3 is stay close to your customers. All business is predicated on customer relationships and customers. Without customers, we don't have businesses. So be obsessed with your customers. Stay close to them, interact with them as much as possible. If you're feeling uncertain, they might be feeling uncertain, and it's important to ensure that you're communicating with them as much as possible so that you can be ready for any changes in their circumstance or challenges that the customers leaving you throws up. One of the greatest joys in running small business is making customers happy and getting that feedback back from your customers. So in uncertain times, if you're interacting with customers regularly, you'll feed off their positivity about the service you're providing them or the problem you're solving for them and the value that you're creating for them. And that's a real feel-good factor, and you can take that confidence and positivity into what you're doing on a daily basis. Number 4, be flexible and open-minded. Adaptability is critical in when you're continuity planning or in uncertain times. Lots of things will be thrown up, and being adaptable and flexible will ensure that you stay ahead of your market or your competition. So that could be adjusting prices up or down depending on your pricing, because if, let's say, you're in hospitality, food pricing's going up because of transport costs, etc., etc. It could be energy pricing, which leads your business to erode margins. So be flexible. If you're in touch with your customers as well, they'll be more understanding if you do have to put the prices up because you need to pass on that increased cost because of the price of fuel going up. It could be flexibility around offering new products and services to try and stay ahead of the competition or changing customer behaviour. And that could also include changing how you might deliver your products and services. Is it going online? Is it a hybrid model? And then my last tip is don't do it alone. Make sure you don't bury your head in the sand. The amount of small businesses that we come across who do just bury their heads in the sand until it's a bit too late in these uncertain times. If you can talk to business support providers, colleagues, friends, families, mentors, coaches, staff, customers, suppliers, there'll be lots of shared experiences because everyone's in the same boat. And I think those shared experiences and conversations around that will give you some insights as a business owner where you might be able to feel more confident, make better and more accurate decisions, and ride out these uncertain times. So those are my 5 top tips to navigating uncertainty.
George Scott-Welsh from IncuHive. He's the CEO of IncuHive. They run offices with hot desks and dedicated offices, but also business support. That's really important to what they do. I've known George for probably a decade now, and it's good to have them back in Basingstoke. Their new offices are at Brunel House, Stevenson Road at Helm Mills, and if you go to incuhive.co.uk, you can find all the details about them. They've been working with the Basingstoke and Dean Borough Council recently with some business support programs, and I know they've got a new one that's going to be starting. So again, get in touch with IncuHive and you'll find all the details there. Now, could you be a guest on About Basingstoke's business show? The expertise that's here in this area is really central to what we're doing. So get in touch, go to aboutbasingstoke.com, let us know who you are, and we could be talking to you on this show very soon. And it doesn't have to be that you're a business expert as such. You don't have to be a consultant or a coach. If you're running a business, at whatever stage that is, even if it's a side hustle at the moment, you have things to share that others will take inspiration from or learn from. Doesn't have to be successes, it can be failures. Sometimes we learn more from our failures than we do from our successes, don't we? So if you've got a story to share about your business or you've got insights to share for others who are running businesses, then please get in touch. Just go to aboutbasingstoke.com and we could be talking to you on the business show very soon. On the way shortly, we're going to find out about red tape and how that just wraps everything up in just a crazy amount of bureaucracy and can really infect company culture and how company culture needs to adapt and evolve to cut through the red tape. We'll also be hearing from a local bookshop owner. She runs an independent bookshop in Hartley Wintney, and we'll find out more about her business and how that's doing very, very soon.
Being a trusted local expert is a powerful position to be in. Sharing useful, consistent information is the best way to build that trust with your community. But let's be honest, creating regular, insightful content is a massive challenge when you're busy running a business. That's exactly why we created the About Basingstoke Expert Network. We handle the heavy lifting so you don't have to. Each month, you'll connect with one of our professional journalists to talk about your chosen field. We take that single 30-minute session and transform it into a content machine. One or more audio podcasts, high-impact video clips, professional articles, and ready-to-go social media posts. You can join the network for just £79 per month. That's your entire month of digital marketing content, podcasts, videos, and articles, all from one half-hour session. Don't let your competitors have the last word. Position yourself as the expert at aboutbasingstoke.com/expert.
You're listening to About Basingstoke Business, supported by IncuHive, now open at Helm Mills in Basingstoke. Find out more at incuhive.co.uk. Now, independent bookshops used to be in every high street. These days, not so much. There's a lot of buying of books online. There are dominant national high street retailers, but independent bookshops, you have to go looking for them very often. And that's what I did. And I found one in Hartley Wintney.
Hello, I am Sylvia Schuller. I'm the owner of Blue Bear Bookshop in Hartley Wintney.
This is a great place to be. There's a lot of passing trade. It's a beautiful place to be. How long have you been here? How long has the bookshop been based here?
In the village, we've been open since November 2025, so just a little bit over a year. And we absolutely love it.
And were you in Farnham before?
Yes, we were there for just over 5 years.
So obviously as an independent bookshop, there are lots of challenges. There are lots of competitors. There's some big names on the high street. There's online. And people have either accepted a decline in independent bookshops or there are those people who are ferociously supportive of them. What have been the sort of big challenges for you?
I think every bookshop has a unique story. So for us, I think it was the fact that we opened a few months before COVID has played a big part. So we had those challenges associated with that, and then various different things happening within the town, changes in Farnham. For us, the fact that we had WH Smiths, no longer WH Smiths, next to us, or Waterstones, it really didn't matter. We knew that. We did our homework. And I think for a lot of bookshops, if you're going into an area and you know what's there, you know what you're up against. So that's not an issue. And I really, really cannot say that Amazon has ever played any part in our lives.
Is that because you have loyal customers who come back to you time and time again, and they like the experience of coming into the bookshop rather than just the transactional side of buying a book?
I think that's exactly what it is. It's people interact with you. There's a continuum. It's not just a one-off. So they'll come back again and again, and they'll see the same face, and the story goes on. It never ends. And we always try to make sure that people leave happy one way or another.
And I mean, people have always read books since books have been around, but it feels like there's been peaks and troughs in that being a big part of people's lives. And at the moment, it seems like reading is something that people are enjoying more again, probably as an antidote to screens. Actually picking up a book, something tangible, is feeling good. Is that your experience?
Well, 2026 is year for reading nationally. That might have something to do with it, maybe. But I think people have always been in love with reading one way or another. It's one of those love stories that goes on forever and ever. You kind of dip in and out.
And what sort of things are people reading? What are the big sort of categories at the moment?
Well, it is very different in the village. I think in the village, I'm happy to say, people have been in love with Valerie Perrin, for example, with one of her books, Freshwater for Flowers. That was very popular. And then, of course, her other reads like 3. She's French, so whatever happens to be translated at the time.
Well, the door bangs and another customer comes in, which is always a good sign. Is there a particular demographic that you see a lot, or are younger people coming in more and more and reading more now?
It's quite interesting. The people that come here, yes, they vary. Some come in here specifically with an idea of getting a book. Some come in with an idea of finding a gift. Some come in for a chat or to have a coffee. But predominantly we find ourselves that we sell a lot more books in the village, actually.
Excellent. Well, I think somebody wants to buy one now, so I'll let you go and do that. So we paused for about 5 minutes there because you've got a busy shop. Is this how it normally is? I mean, this is a Friday morning we're recording.
Yes, I mean, it varies. It sort of comes in waves, kind of. That's all I can say. It comes in waves. It's not very predictable.
And what's the sort of spirit like among the businesses in Hartley Wintney generally? When you sort of talk to each other, is it positive? Is it challenging? Where are we?
Right, it's pretty amazing. So very collaborative. I think we have started to try to promote the village more to other people as well, collectively as businesses. So we're looking into doing more collaborative work together.
Because it's predominantly independents here, although there are some high street names that people will recognise. Absolutely,
yes. I think there's only 2. And the rest are independents, door to door to door to door.
It's a bit like a high street used to be, but in places like this still is.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, 100%. This is why I think people absolutely love the village, because it has everything just in village doses.
And it's got a real vibrancy to it. There are shops like this, there are pubs, there are restaurants. There's always plenty of passing trade, and it's a beautiful village as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. I adore sitting over there and looking at the oaks and the greenery. I don't mind the traffic because it's a passing traffic. It's not a standstill really. And you get to see lots of amazing people coming through the doors, which is great.
And in terms of independent bookshops, I imagine you talk to other indies in other parts of the country. How are things at the moment?
So it's not just in the country. Actually, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to Verona with my colleague because there is a book conference where we meet over a period of 3 days with other booksellers from all over Europe. We do meet collectively in the UK. Actually, there are sort of conferences split into different parts of Scotland, Ireland, and obviously the UK. So once a year, again, we meet over a period of about 3 days, and lots of crazy stuff happens that we don't talk about.
And is there a general positivity about the industry?
Oh gosh, yes, I believe so. Again, it's one of the nicest industries. Everyone supports one another and looks out for one another. It is like...
And are there any books that you know are coming up in 2026 that you're particularly excited about, or anything that's around now that you just think, I'm so glad that book came out because it's wonderful?
Well, actually, our book club book, Astronaut, which the cover is, well, no, I just sold it. It is not out yet. It's out in a couple of weeks' time, but we got it early. And I'm really looking forward to reading that. I don't know what it's about because I haven't read it.
Well, we like the honesty. And if people are thinking, well, this sounds like a bookshop I need to visit, where can people find you?
Where can they find us? In Hartley Wintney, in the village. We've got some amazing parking outside the shop. Find us online. We are on Instagram and Facebook. Obviously, Blue Bear Bookshop. So look out for us and hope to see you soon.
Lovely to meet Sylvia and be at the Blue Bear Bookshop in Hartley Wintney. If you're a small business owner and you want to share your insights into your industry, how business is for you at the moment, the challenges, the highs, the lows, I would love to hear from you. Get in touch. Just go to aboutbasingstoke.com, click on the contact page and get in touch. Or you can send us a WhatsApp. Just go to aboutbasingstoke.com/WhatsApp on your mobile and it'll open the app automatically. Clever stuff. On the way, we're going to be talking about red tape. Oh, we love that as business owners, don't we? But it's infecting company culture. But company culture can actually fight back against red tape if we choose it to. More on that with our business book of the week shortly.
Promote your event for free. If you're organising a charity or community event, or run regular events, meetings or classes in the local area, then tell us about it so we can get the word out. Just visit aboutbasingstoke.com/event, fill in the form and leave the rest to us. Or why not follow up with a voice message on WhatsApp and get your voice on our podcasts and radio station. Promote your event for free at aboutbasingstoke.com.
It's the About Basingstoke Business Show. You can get this as a podcast. You can also listen on the stream every Tuesday and repeated at the weekends. Find out more about all the shows we do by going to aboutbasingstoke.com. And thanks to our friends at IncuHive, now open at Helm Mills in Basingstoke, Brunel House, Stevenson Road, for serviced offices, for hot desks, for business support. You'll find all the details at incuhive.co.uk. Now to our business book of the week, and I'm joined by Rachel Bennet, who's written a brand new book about red tape.
So I am I've got my new title. I'm calling myself a culturologist because why not? So I go into organisations and help leaders and teams create the best possible work environments. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I have just published my second book.
Yes. Well, we've spoken before when you published your first book,
We did,
which was all about shadow cultures,
Indeed.
which people can go and find. But we're talking about this new one.
Yes.
What's it called and what's it about?
So the new one is called From Red Tape to Real Change. So the first book, as you said, was Shadow Culture. So that was very much about company culture and the difference between what people say and what people do. The bit in the middle, I named a shadow, and actually have built my business for nearly 4 years around that concept of actually if we improve company culture by looking for those shadows and trying to eliminate them. Because if you don't, eventually, in my opinion, they become toxic and then we have a lot more problems. So it's just trying to eliminate the shadows. So I've spent the last nearly 4 years in organisations helping them with company culture and workforce. A couple of years ago, would have been nearly 2 years ago, I was on a call with somebody, one of my clients, and the frustration in her voice was really clear. And through the conversation, I said to her, gosh, it just sounds like so much red tape. And she said, it is. And then she laughed and she said, you need to write a book about that. And I was laughing back and like, no, I've already done a book. I know how hard it is to do a book. But it just wouldn't stop pestering me. So that's where the book came from, was out of frustration. And then I started talking to lots of other clients along the way and kind of started seeing the pattern that actually red tape was something real. And for me, a lot of my work is in housing associations. So the book is predominantly based on housing associations. But to be honest with you, I had quite a few beta testers, and pretty much all of them said the principles are not just housing, they are organisational wide. So yeah, there was a suggestion I should write a third book and turn this into more of a generic model, but we'll see.
Well, there you go. There's a task for you. But so I mean, business owners will understand the idea of red tape. I'm sure we've all faced various bits of red tape, but
yeah.
Outside of those sort of little frustrations that you might put under the banner of red tape.
Yeah.
What sort of things have you uncovered that are really big issues that organisations are facing?
Yeah, so they're all they're like you say, they're in all sorts of different forms, and one of the examples that I give to people, and this is a housing association example, is for example, you could get a tenant come along to the organisation and say, I've got a leaky bathroom tap, for example. You will get people going out to look at it. They then sometimes, not in all associations, but sometimes they then have to go back and get approval to fix the tap. Then they have to get somebody out to fix the tap. So there's all of these different stages to be able to fix this tap. And unfortunately, sometimes that kind of red tape that you have to go through really, really slows the process down. And in worst case scenarios, you could end up then having, a bathroom that needs completely refitting, or, the tap has leaked through and it's gone through to the kitchen, etc. So I am talking extreme cases, but this is the sort of the kind of the red tape. And then what happens from an employee point of view is it's that real frustration of, I just want to help people, and what the easiest thing to do really is in those scenarios is give all these people a £1,000 limit on a credit card, for example, or so that they can have that kind of trust and that ownership to be able to go out and buy the tap and fix the tap and stop that becoming a bigger problem. And so that's a real kind of practical way that red tape is kind of tying people up, but it's in all sorts of things in technology, where we want to do something, but actually we've got to get all these different approvals before we can actually do something, and so it is slowing things down. It's slowing a whole process down, but it's also causing a lot of frustration with professionals that are paid to do a job, and therefore we need to start instilling a bit more kind of trust into people. So yeah, and that's kind of the frustrations that I'm hearing from a lot of people.
Yeah, so it's interesting, isn't it? Because I imagine that a lot of this red tape was probably implemented. I mean, it probably wasn't implemented in one go. It's something that's built on, and it becomes more and more ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when these stages are put in, the person doing that, or the team deciding to do that, the managers signing off on it, they believe that it's an important part of the process in perhaps keeping a tight control on costs or making sure that quality control is maintained. But actually, they're not looking at it from the other side, the client side, but also not, as you say, from the employee side, the frontline employee who's having to deal with those people's frustrations on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And the thing is particularly in social housing, it's so complex and it's moved so quickly that, for example, technology is moving at a rapid pace. And so it's really hard for companies to be able to keep up with it, and particularly keep up with the cost of it. Social housing in its entirety is not a money-making sector. It's not, it's not a rich sector, as you will know if you read the news and different things. So money is something that we have to be really, really careful on. And what I have found is I've not come across anybody at all that didn't care. Everybody that I've spoken to, they care deeply, and the sector has got the most incredible people in it. And people join social housing because they want to make a difference and they want to have that social purpose. And for me, from all the digging I've done, this red tape has come from a really good place where, like you say, it's process on process. And so what's happening though is there's quite a lot of silo working. And this is why people are saying it's not just in the housing sector, it's in all sectors. Unfortunately, as you know, I've just come out of a health condition myself. So I've seen the NHS in a whole new light. And there's certainly red tape in the NHS, for example. And that's not through any fault of staff. It is just the build-up of history and processes that were there to protect different things, and they've just been built on over the years, and now we're kind of stuck in this red tape and bureaucracy, and people are trying to do their best, but we're getting tangled up. So my call to action with this book was kind of trying to highlight this as an issue, and then sort of talk to leaders and managers and employees about the company culture and how do we help stop the red tape, as it were? How do we get rid of the red tape? And a lot of that for me starts with building trust. It starts with starting to eliminate silos. So, if you've got a project, bring in all the departments that need to be in that project room, rather than doing it on your own. And helping managers really carry the culture through what they're doing, and leaders sort of leading that culture. So for me, the red tape can be eliminated by culture change, but I think we've just found ourselves in this mess by accident. I don't think it's been ill intent. Like I say, I think it's just years and years of trying to do the right thing and literally building on top of it.
Yeah, and I guess that the big problem, or one of the big problems with this, apart from the fact that it makes the whole thing less efficient and ultimately must be costing these organizations money in terms of the inefficiency, but also the effect that that's having on their staff. They're either feeling less engaged, they're not productive because they spend so much of their time chasing their tail, trying to cut through red tape. Absolutely. And ultimately they're leaving, and they've had enough of either the process or the fact that people are getting frustrated with them on a daily basis, or probably both. And we see this a lot in retail, for example, where in the last kind of 5 to 10 years, signs have gone up saying we don't tolerate abuse of our staff, and good reason for that. But it almost feels like you put the signs up to say don't abuse our staff without really looking at why people are doing that, and that there's no excuse for it. But at the same time, if there's frustration, there is going to be, occasions. There are going to be occasions where people do lose their temper, unfortunately.
Absolutely, and that example is a great example. And having, as I say, going through this whole kind of NHS process myself, I have found the whole thing fascinating from a cultural point of view. I must be the only person that actually ended up coaching somebody whilst having a mini operation on their culture. Honestly, so afterwards I was just had to really apologise. Was like, it's how I had to shift my mind into a different space. I just talked about their culture because I'm fascinated by it. But yeah, I think when in that scenario, and the red tape here is a really great example. I know that I could have 2 appointments for the same day in 2 different hospitals, pretty much at the same time. And you look at that and you think, okay, that's ridiculous. Are you not talking to each other? And since I found out that actually, I think this is correct, the NHS actually have lots of different systems, different booking systems. So if you're in the GP, you've got a different system than a different hospital, and different departments have different systems. So even in that, from a basic kind of healthcare side of things, for me, I have to sit as a patient and work out and then phone people up and say, you've sent me an appointment for the same time as a different hospital, because nothing is talking to each other. Mm-hmm. But then if you then turn up for those appointments, you can't get through to people on the telephone because they're short staffed. When you do get through, I've had occasions where the phone has gone dead on me, and so all of this kind of really winds you up as a person. And if you're poorly in the first place, and then you're going through all of this, by the time you actually get into the appointment, I've sat now twice in A&E and had to wait 7 hours, both times in A&E. Now, I was immune deficient as well. So, when you're sitting, so you can see why people get wound up, and you can see why that happens. And for me, that is the red tape, because there's so many things that you could implement to make things so much easier, but people are so busy, and there's so many different layers that you need to go through to get one thing signed off.
Well, right, you know what, Rachel, I think the government need to speak to you to try and, West Streeting needs to get in touch with you and see if you can help, in an organisation of that size. Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's a huge task, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Like painting the fourth bridge, it's never going to end.
No, absolutely.
But there will be a lot of people listening who are perhaps running small businesses that are turning into medium-sized businesses, and they're scaling. Perhaps they're scaling quite fast, or certainly that's their hope. Yeah. And I would imagine if they take a look at this now, before it gets to the stage where they're employing hundreds or thousands of people, and the business has got multiple locations and all kinds of different processes going on, some of them which are legacy processes, some of them which are brought in and layered on top. If they deal with this now before it gets too big and sprawling, it's a lot easier to manage.
It is, absolutely. And my biggest tip would be to talk. And even if that is, if you're a small organization, like you say, and you're starting to grow, then even if that is a Monday morning, every Monday morning for half an hour, you sit and talk to your team. This is all really basic stuff. It's stuff that we all know and we all do. And a lot of companies are really, really good at this. But you kind of sit and talk to the team and say, okay, so what's everybody working on? How can we help? Looking at the vision of the organization. What is the purpose? What is it that you're there for? And is everything you're doing aligned to that purpose? Because if it's not, you need to be asking why. And so there are some really simple kind of techniques that you can do. And if you do need to sort the culture out, and you don't have a lot of money and you want to sort out, my first book has got a model in it that, and it's only 15 quid. So, you can self-teach yourself by buying the book and having a look at that. And it will teach you how to get rid of the shadow culture, but ultimately how to project manage projects effectively, so that you're not going to get into that pickle. You then have the other extreme, like the NHS, that it's mind blowing, absolute mind blowing, and I actually do have notes that I took along the way, and I ended up with a week's stay in hospital in 4 different departments, and I took notes. Honestly, I'm terrible, but it's my fascination of how culture works and stuff. But all of this, we get into the red tape, and all of it is avoidable. But unfortunately, I think when companies get so big and it's been not been looked at for so long, it becomes really complicated and really hard to kind of fix. And so my book was just something from my point of view to try and add my 4 pennies worth into to a sector, housing association sector, which I absolutely love, and they do a fantastic job. And for me, this is just my kind of plea to organisations to really look at their culture.
Yeah, absolutely. Rachel, what's the book called?
It's called From Red Tape to Real Change, and it is on Amazon, and it spent the first 2 days at #1 bestseller as well. Yay. So I'm very, very happy with that.
Fantastic. Well, look, great to speak to you again, and good luck with the new book, and good luck with the first book as well, which is still, brilliant. I'm sure, selling well. And
it is indeed. Yeah.
Also, good luck with the third book, which I'm sure will come, and continued recovery from your health issues as well. Yes. I wish you well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
My thanks to Rachel for being a guest on About Basingstoke Business. Every week we'll be featuring a business book of the week, bringing you insights from amazing experts from all over the world. And of course, we also share insights from Basingstoke businesses. Get in touch and be on this show. Just go to aboutbasingstoke.com and click on the contact page. A quick word about our other shows. On Monday, we talk about community. Wednesday, it's well-being. Thursday, it's home and family. And Friday, it's leisure. At the weekend, you get to hear all of our shows. And remember, they're all available as podcasts as well. Just search for About Basingstoke on your favourite podcast app or on YouTube. The stream is aboutbasingstoke.com/live, or you can ask Alexa to launch About Basingstoke. That's it for this week's business show. Get in touch to be part of it, aboutbasingstoke.com, and click on the contact page or WhatsApp by sending a message via aboutbasingstoke.com/WhatsApp. Thanks for listening. We'll do it again next time.